Hey guys, welcome back to Ranger Survival and Fieldcraft. What I have for you today, this is a very special video on my SERE school survival kit, so stick around. Alright guys, welcome back to the show. I've been off the net for about 2 months for military training, and what I'm going to talk about today is the survival kit that I took to SERE. Now, to preface up front, I won't talk about classified information as part of this school. I won't talk about evasion, resistance, or escape. Since it is classified information, what I can show you is survival kit that I took, as well as some of the survival techniques, and I'll show those in later videos. A lot of them you're going to see parallel or coincide with what is taught in mainstream survival knowledge in schoolhouses on the civilian side, as well as some of the lesser classified military sides of survival training. So without further ado, let me show you my kit. Alright guys, so here is my SERE School survival kit. Now, there are a lot of items here. Some of the items, all items were part of the packing list, okay? Some items were prescribed as individual survival kit items in the packing list, but obviously all of them are part of the basic survival needs and used during the course throughout survival training, okay? So everything you see here is what I took to the course and what I used. Now the first thing, talking about shelter items, underneath all of this you can see the base of my layout here is my thermal blanket or my space blanket. It is the one with the grommets on each side, one of the cheaper models, because I didn't know how bad I was going to get torn up. I wasn't going to take anything that was too great to the school, being that the time of year that I went was fairly decent weather, so I wasn't worried about it getting too ripped up in the schoolhouse, and I could easily replace it. Next I have this poncho. It's a military style poncho, similar to all the other types you see out there as a USGI issue. Obviously I had that poncho. One thing I did do with the poncho though, that I learned from civilian side and from watching a lot of good guys on YouTube, is I created a quick deploy ridgeline out of the 550 cord that I took to the schoolhouse, since I didn't have other cordage materials available like bank line, and created a quick deploy ridgeline for my poncho out there as part of survival training to make it that much easier to put up my shelter when you're out there and you need it. Now, next item is my Poncho Liner, the multi-cam Poncho Liner that you see right here. Got down to the schoolhouse and used that obviously to stay warm and regulate body temperature when the temperature drops down there in the south. Okay. Now moving on to container items. In the schoolhouse we had a number of container items. Obviously you see right here I have my military canteen and Canteen Cup. You can see it was very well used as part of the course. A lot of the fire PEs you have with or practical exercise that you have in the schoolhouse, you use it obviously to boil water, to purify water, sanitize water, and then be able to drink that water. So you have to start a fire, put water in here, boil it, and then that is time for your fire PEs. In the schoolhouse they had a 30-minute, 20-minute, and then a 10-minute fire PE. I think I did all 3 fire PEs in under 10 minutes. Pretty easy, given the fact that I practice this a lot. But we had canteens and canteen cups. I actually had 2, 1 quart here, and then 2 canteen cups in my load-bearing equipment as I wore it. I also had 1 2-quart canteen, and then I had a 100-ounce Camelback bladder with me. So I had, roughly 6 to 7 quarts of water on me at any given time, and then I would refill all from a water source while out during training and purify with aqua tablets. These are iodine tablets that I got from the schoolhouse. They just happened to find their way in my kit when I left. Got a few more left in here, but I did have iodine tablets as well to help purify water in the event I couldn't boil it and purify it that way. Now, as far as cutting implements, the schoolhouse prescribes that you have 1 pocket knife, and then it also recommended having a multi-tool. And so the multi-tool I brought with me was the Leatherman 300. You can see it's got a bunch of different functions on it: serrated blade, a straight blade. The thing that I really liked about it is that it has a saw on it for notch carving, for traps, snares, for friction fire sets, etc. So I chose the 300 to take with me. I already had it as part of my original gear. I just brought it to the schoolhouse with me. And then this knife I think I've had since Ranger School. It's just a simple Benchmade pocket knife, just a blade with a minor portion of serrations on it, okay? And then one of the things I noticed that was different about the packing list was that it recommended a fixed blade, and the fixed blade that was recommended was actually the Mora Companion. This is the Mora Companion HD, or heavy duty. It's a little thicker, all right, Scandi grind, and this is the knife that went into the schoolhouse, obviously very well used to maintain, to carve notches, skin game, repair game, help make fires, anything you can do with a knife. Obviously the Companion lasted. I didn't sharpen the thing the entire course, and it lasted the entire course and was still sharp after the course. Now for fire lighting material, you're not allowed to bring matches, you're not allowed to bring lighters. What you can have with you though are a magnesium bar, magnesium bar here with a little striker on it, which I didn't use at all. And then I had a ferrocerium rod that I brought with me to the course, and it's just to light my fire. Ferrocerium rod that I used during the course, pretty well used. And then I made a sheath out of 100-mile-an-hour tape for it, just because my sweat. I was sweating a lot of the course, obviously running around doing things, and the sweat corrodes the metal on the ferrocerium rod, so I made a quick sheath, and I can also use that as a potential fire starter. One thing that was also authorized in the course is a quart-size bag of cotton balls and Vaseline. So you can see here, cotton balls and Vaseline. I've got a lot of them still. I use this stuff almost every day when we're out there training in survival to help start fires. They authorize you to have this in the course, which I thought was very nice. You do end up making fires from natural material, particularly fat wood, because it's in the south and fat wood is plentiful, and so that's what we used. Now, moving on to cordage. I already talked about my quick deploy ridgeline with my shelter. You bring 550 cord, I think they call for about 50 to 100 feet, so I brought what looks approximately 200 feet here of 550 cord. There's not a lot of things that can't be done with 550 cord, obviously, to make a ridge pole or a ridge line, and then you can use portions of this to make lashings, bindings, all that good stuff, different knots for hanging equipment, even suspensions. You can also use this to help create lures, fishing lures to coincide with your fishing equipment. Bungee cords. Now, I didn't really see the practicality in bringing bungee cords to the school other than to set up a shelter. I never used this to actually set up my shelter in the course. But during improvisation training for weapons making and tool making, we did see guys use these to make slingshots and other material or other items to catch game or use as tools while in survival. So while I didn't use it all the time, all these components, the hooks on here, everything else, the elastic can be used improvisation for making tools, so keep it as part of my gear. Now, the next couple of things, obviously, a headlamp was prescribed in the schoolhouse, and so here I just have a basic headlamp with a couple different functions. All right, one thing I like about this is that it has a strobe on it. You can see red lens strobe, so at nighttime it does help for signaling in the event that's a method for signaling during a recovery. Next, have the handy dandy signal mirror. Some of these were issued to us in the course, but obviously had mine. The one thing I like about the signal mirror as opposed to other means like a flashlight, the batteries will die in the flashlight. However, even though you can use this at night, it's only temporary, while with this mirror or other pieces of glass or mirror that you find around you, scattered around in the woodlands, you can still use this to signal. And there are stories of guys being found via signal mirrors almost 100 miles away. So I would rather go for range than temporary relief during nighttime, but obviously pros and cons for each. Next we had Lensatic compass. It's just a military issue Lensatic compass, as you can see. All right, similar to everything everybody else has out there. Tritium, and it tells major directions, helps you find your way while you're navigating. Too easy. Now with the other items that I haven't gone over yet, some things that I added to this kit as practicality while in survival, was a boonie cap. Boonie cap obviously because it helps protect me from the sun, but then I can also wear it as a portion of camouflage while I'm out there. This one is actually just a little bit larger than my head size, which gave me a little bit more surface area to work with, and then I can attach obviously vegetation to this to conceal myself and break up my silhouette while I'm evading. Next, I had gloves. For some reason, these are a safety issue at the schoolhouse. You have to have them or else you burn your hands or cut yourself. But had these along with the wool inserts because it did get cold out there, and protecting the hands, I found out, is incredibly important when you're out there tired and hungry, haven't eaten in about a week, and you're trying to create fire, and you're using sharp implements, all right, to process wood down. You don't want to cut yourself and then have to deal with that the remainder of the time you're out there. So next thing, these are 2 military cravats. Now I've gone over cravats before in some of my videos. 100% cotton. They're large in shape, and obviously you can use these for just about anything. I brought 2 with me to the course. Those 2 didn't survive the course. These are 2 fresh ones. They didn't survive because I used them for not only a covering, but I used them to filter water. I used them to create the next fire, so I used it to make char cloth while in the course, and then used it for improvised medical dressing as well. And so those things just got so cruddy and dirty that they did not make it through the course. Now moving over here to more food and water items. You can see right here a little shiny in the camera, but these are 2 55-gallon drum liners that are clear. What's great about having 55-gallon drum liners, besides the fact that you can use these for duff beds, fill them with leaves, and you have cushion from the ground floor to help protect you from thermoregulation or losing that body heat to the ground. These can also be used as transpiration bags out there in the woods, in a sunny area, on thick vegetation, trees that are not poisonous. You can attach these, tie them off, and then hang them down, and water, obviously from the evaporation of the vegetation, will collect at the bottom, and you can use that to drink. So anybody who's used a transpiration bag, good to go. Next we have just a couple of gallon ziplock bags. These are great for obviously containing your equipment, but then I could put food in here if I collected food. It's another container to have in the kit. And obviously these are fresh too, and so are these because I ended up using those in the course, obviously to secure water and then hold materials. Next we have 0.02 gauge or 24 gauge wire, obviously for making snares. I've got a lot here already in a couple of bundles to shove in my kit. Next I've got 8-pound test fishing line right here. It said 8 to 50 pound on the packing list at approximately 50 feet. This is about 100 feet right here. And then inside the tape, hard to see, I'll just explain it to you, is I have fishing hooks in here of varying sizes. They call for about 5 in the school. I brought a lot and ended up handing a few out to some people. But there's water sources nearby. We ended up setting up fish traps and go fishing in the afternoons or whenever we could to try to secure some game. And then on the back side, inside the same tape, I have razors, and you can kind of see the outline of them right there. Razors are something I added a little bit later on to help cut the hooks out, but then to also process game that we caught using those small razors. Okay, and then for repair, the schoolhouse had us bring safety pins, varying sizes. I think it only called for about a handful or so, but I brought about 20 here of different sizes. There's a lot of things you can do with safety pins. Improvised needles, fishing hooks, you can use them to make improvised directional devices once you magnetize them. You know, there's a lot of different things, obviously, to repair or hold gear together, or in conjunction with a cravat to hold a bandage in place. And then I had a sewing kit, just a military issue sewing kit, or one you can pick up at the PX. Buttons, needles, 2 different types of thread. Obviously the sewing kit used for repairing, but can also be used for creating different improvised devices, or sewing via 17 panels, sewing clothing together. You can also use it for makeshift suturing in the event of a serious injury. However, don't practice that at home by any means. But this is the kit, guys, and wanted to show it to you today. All right, guys, that was my SERE School survival kit. What you can notice in the school kit here is that a lot of the 10Cs are replicated. Obviously, you have containers, cutting materials, cordage, you have combustion devices, you have cover, you have a compass, you have candling devices, canvas needles or needles from your sewing kit. Really, the only thing that wasn't represented as part of the 10Cs was cargo tape. At the schoolhouse, they issued us a lot of 100-mile-an-hour tape, being that it's the military, and so we use that a lot anyway in the course. But other than that, a lot of the 10Cs are already represented. A lot of multifunctional items. There's a lot of kit here. In later videos, I'm going to talk to you about the 3 levels and how I took my Ranger training and the SERE training, kind of combined them to develop a cross load of survival kit items and how I distribute them amongst my person, my load-bearing equipment, and inside my rucksack for survival. So in the event of an isolating event, I can use either the items that are on me in my flick or on my load-bearing equipment or in my rucksack to affect survival, basically. So anyway, guys, I know it's been a long time coming. It's been a couple months since I've been on, but I appreciate all the likes, all the views, all the subscriptions, all the comments, and all the feedback. Please keep that stuff coming. I appreciate you guys for watching especially. I hope you got something out of this, just a very basic kit. And I'll be back with more videos based on my training as soon as I can. So thanks, guys.